Primordial Desolation. I am the Dragon Ancestor. I choose for the dragon race to retreat from the very beginning. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 479. Now that things have happened, Zhao Weijing doesn't want to go back with Queen Mother the Zai no matter what. He feels that following Shen Long is the happiest time in his life. Zhao Weijing, we are going back. The Queen Mother of the West increased her tone when she said this. She was obviously a little unhappy, and there were also orders in the painting. This suddenly made Zhao Weijing feel even more uncomfortable, and he frowned, but softened his attitude and asked the Queen Mother of the West, "Can I stay with Shen Long forever? I don't want to go back with you." After hearing this, Queen Mother the Zai suddenly clenched her fists. A little unbelievable. The people around her actually chose to follow Shen Long. Isn't it clear that she wanted to slap him in the face by saying such things to her in public? This matter is absolutely impossible. You are my disciple. How can you follow others? After saying this, he seemed a little impatient. If he continues like this, he will be embarrassed. Reality will lose to Shen Long, and then the people around him will let Shen Long if he is taken away. Where will his face be left? Everything else is easy to talk about, but there is no room for negotiation on this matter. If you think there is anything bad about me, feel free to mention it. I will try my best to satisfy you, but you will always be mine. After saying this, he kept staring at Zhao Weijing. For a moment, Zhao Weijing was extremely hesitant. He still wanted to follow Shen Long, but if this continues, Queen Mother the Zai will inevitably be angry, and maybe Shen Long would be implicated. In desperation, he could only walk slowly towards hope. At this moment, Shen Long suddenly reached out and took his arm. Obviously, Zhao Weijing did not expect Shen Long. He actually pulled him. His eyes were full of expectation. He couldn't take the initiative to propose, but if Shen Long proposed, maybe Queen Mother the Zai would agree, and Shen Long said to Queen Mother the Zai in a very respectful tone, "This child is destined to me, and the two of us can play together. If possible, I hope you can part ways with me." While saying this, Shen Long pulled Zhao Weijing back to his side. It was obvious that he would not let the little Weijing return to Hope's mother. Shen Long also knew it. The reason why the Queen Mother of the West stopped her like this was because she thought it would harm his face. In that case, he might as well give the other party enough face. Then he said a lot of words, begging the Queen Mother of the West to do it, and even brought out a treasure that he was willing to exchange with the Queen Mother of the West. Queen Mother the Zai felt that she could step down and save her face, so she nodded and waved her hand, pretending to be generous. "Since the two of you are destined, let him follow you. As for your things, I won't accept them." After saying this, the Queen Mother of the West had no room to stay here and finally left. Seeing that all the matters at Xuanzang's side had been settled, Shen Long thought of going back. Xuanzang listened to him. After saying that, he nodded. He had already had this idea, and there was no point in staying here any longer. On the contrary, the disciples looked at them and wanted to tear them apart. "Let's go. It's not a good place to stay for a long time." After that, some people came out and went to Shichuo Mountain together. Because there was a little Weijing beside Shen Long along the way, everyone had more topics to talk about and became more cheerful. Chapter 480. When they arrived at the foot of Dashan Mountain, Shen Long took the initiative to tell Xuanzang another story. "You probably didn't expect that you would encounter so many things along the way, and the person you trust most is still the mastermind behind it." After he finished saying this, Xuanzang smiled mockingly and did not speak. Then he continued to ask, "Have your original intentions changed now?" Xuanzang shook his head. "If this is the case, have you thought about where you will go and what you will do in the future?" Xuanzang thought for a while. Although the things he encountered along the way did make him hesitate a little, whether he should continue to go to the West to learn scriptures. But he also thought that he could not be defeated by anything on the way. This he must keep walking. Although he thinks so, it does not mean that his other disciples also think so. If they want to leave and are hit by this incident, then he will naturally not stop them. Do you have any ideas on what to do in the future? Xuanzang suddenly asked this question to his disciples, and everyone didn't know how to answer it for a while. Sha Monk answered the fastest, saying that he had been following the master and would go wherever the master went. Sun Wukong and Zhu Beiji thought for a while, also said that they would follow Xuanzang in this case. Why don't we continue our journey to the west? I will still go to the west in the future. I thought about it and I can't change my original intention. After we get the scripture back, we can carry it forward. After he said this, several disciples also agreed. It seemed that everyone had no objections. Shen Long nodded beside him, not forgetting his original intention and keeping his mission in mind. Xuanzang did a good job this time. Now that your goal has been set in the future, you must continue to move towards that goal. If you encounter similar problems again, you must find ways to solve them as much as possible. After saying this, he looked up at the sun and felt that it was almost time. And I can't stay with you all the time. I still have my own things to deal with. It's almost time now and I should go back. After he said these words, several people looked at him, especially Xuanzang could see that he was reluctant to leave. You are a rare person that I can talk to, and we often have the same views, but it is a pity that we have to separate eventually. If there is a chance, we will meet again in the future. Except for Xuanzang, no one else said anything. They just kept looking at him. Why do you talk so much? Maybe you will meet him again in 2 days. Thank you for this. Sun Wukong didn't seem to care about anything, but he was really grateful to Shen Long in his heart. After all, Shen Long played a big part in this matter. Shen Long nodded and didn't say anything more to them. He turned around and strode away. He didn't seem to be sloppy at all, as if he didn't care about it at all. Xuanzang and the others stared at his leaving figure for a long time. Then he shook his head helplessly, and then looked ahead of them. Let's go. The road is still long, and we will have to separate more people in the future. Chapter 481. After leaving Xuanzang, Shen Long took little Jingwei all the way to the East China Sea. For some reason, the moment he entered the sea, he felt something was not right in the surrounding atmosphere, as if there were a lot of fish and shrimps missing. He also saw a lot of corpses floating in the water. He couldn't help but frown when he saw this. Even the little Jingwei next to him felt it and felt a little disgusted. He had heard people say that the East China Sea was very good, but he didn't expect to see so many corpses when he came down. Even the seawater felt stinky. It is estimated that something happened here recently, resulting in the death of some water tribes, so don't mind it too much. Shen Long didn't have any objections to this. He saw Zhao Jingwei's frown and thought that Zhao Jingwei was more concerned. Zhao Jingwei shook his head. Shen Long didn't say anything. What else did he have? What can I say? It's okay, let's continue. I just feel that these fish and shrimps in the aquarium died a bit miserably, and their bodies were just floating in the water and there was no time to clean them up. He doesn't know what the customs of the aquarium are. If the fish dies, does he need to be buried in peace? But he knows clearly that something is not normal here. Even he had noticed it, and Shen Long had naturally noticed it, but he didn't pay too much attention. As soon as the two of them arrived in front of the Dragon Palace, fish and shrimps came out to welcome them in. Another shrimp soldier went in to report. It didn't take long for Kung Fu Dragon Mother to come out. He smiled slightly and nodded at Shen Long. I originally thought it would be some time before you would come back, so I was not in a hurry to prepare to welcome you, so I was a little delayed. Please forgive me. Mother of Dragons still said such polite words. Has anything happened here in the East China Sea recently? Shen Long always felt that the atmosphere here was strange, and there was an indescribable feeling. Mother Long was still smiling when she heard what Shen Long said, but her expression became a little unbearable. To be honest, a lot of things have happened recently. After saying this, he often sighed. At this moment, many pictures appeared in his mind. Most of these pictures were of floating corpses, which made him feel particularly uncomfortable, because there were so many dead people. Some corpses were left floating in the water without time to clean them up. This kind of thing would not only damage their appearance, but also cause some fish and shrimps to panic, which is very harmful to their management of the aquarium. For some reason, a lot of aquatic people have died in the sea recently, and there are more and more corpses. Some of them are even too late to clean up. What should I do? Speaking of this, he even remembered that one of the two maids who usually followed him had died, which made him feel even worse. He frowned slightly. In fact, she also valued that maid, but she died like this. After hearing this, Shen Long didn't take it to heart. After all, it was quite normal for some fish and shrimps to die in the water. The fact that there were more dead this time might be a problem with the water quality. You don't actually need to take these little things to heart. Although more of the water tribe died, you will continue to multiply and take their place soon. Just let the Dragon King take care of this little thing. After saying this, Shen Long waited for a while and saw the Dragon Mother. She didn't seem to have anything else to say to him. It became clear that nothing else had happened recently. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 482. Mother of Dragons nodded, feeling that she was making a fuss this time, so there was no need to trouble Shen Long about this matter. After all, Shen Long has always dealt with major matters, so it is better for them to handle this trivial matter internally. When I found out about this, I informed the Dragon King and asked him to do it. After saying this, he finally began to recite a spell, using their unique sound transmission method. Not long after, his voice reached the Dragon King of the East China Sea, and the Dragon King of the East China Sea only heard the voice of the Dragon Mother echoed in my mind recently. A lot of aquatic animals have died in the East China Sea. You have to investigate this matter carefully and don't let go of any clues. You must deal with it properly. There are so many corpses floating in the water, and it will have a bad impact on others. As soon as he finished saying this, he heard the reply from the Dragon King of the East China Sea to him. He originally thought it was the Dragon King of the East China Sea who promised him that he would complete it, but what he didn't expect was that what he received was a cry from the Dragon King of the East China Sea. Why did you throw this mess to me? Do you know how difficult this matter is to handle, and how easy it is to solve in your mouth? After saying this, his voice was a little choked, and he sounded like he was about to cry, but he didn't really cry. So many water tribes died at once. How do you want others to think of me? And I can't solve it at all. If I could solve it, I would have solved it long ago. Don't you know that so many fish and shrimps died because someone deliberately captured them to refine magic weapons? After he said these words, the Mother of Dragons was stunned for a moment and glanced at Shen Long. He knew that Shen Long could hear the conversation between the two of them. After all, Shen Long's cultivation was far superior to the two of them. As long as Shen Long thought that he could naturally hear what the two of them were talking about, it happened that Shen Long was always paying attention to the sound transmission between the two of them. After hearing what the Dragon King said, they raised their eyebrows again. When the Dragon Mother saw Shen Long's reaction was clear in his heart. You useless thing, asked you to handle some small things, but you can't handle them well, and now you say so many embarrassing things. Those water tribes are all your people. They are hurt, and you can't stand up to help them. You are a loser. Hearing this, the Dragon King of the East China Sea felt even more aggrieved. Those people dared to come to him to catch the people from the Shui tribe. Naturally, it was because their strength was with them, so they didn't need to be afraid of themselves. If they could defeat them, of course, those people had gone long ago, and now they can only stay here in frustration, and were scolded by their own wife. After that, the Dragon King of the East China Sea tried to contact the Dragon Mother again, but failed to contact him several times. He knew that the Dragon Mother probably didn't want to pay attention to him, so he had no choice but to let Prime Minister Turtle come forward. You know this matter better than I do, and I asked you to come here just so that you can find a way to solve this matter quickly without offending those people. At this time, the Dragon King of the East China Sea has posed a problem to Prime Minister Turtle. He doesn't want to offend anyone, and he also wants to save his compatriots from the water tribe. It's not easy to do this kind of thing when both the fish and the bear's paw are taken. Prime Minister Turtle has no choice but to do nothing. Being able to disobey orders, He could only nod his head and agree. He still felt a little reluctant when he said this. "Don't worry, Dragon King. I will do my best to help you find a solution." Chapter 483. After Prime Minister Turtle returned to his home, he had been meditating on these things all night. "I feel that there are so many ways. But the only useful way is to let the people who intercept the teachings go and let them continue to do so. Not only do you want them to keep doing it, but you also want them to make a big deal out of it. Once the matter gets serious, it will be difficult to end. Then the Dragon King can punish them openly and will not be condemned by others. You can even win sympathy from the Jade Emperor. Maybe by then, the Jade Emperor will give some benefits to the Dragon King out of sympathy." When the Dragon King of the East China Sea summoned Prime Minister Turtle again the next day, Prime Minister Turtle told him everything he had thought of last night. After hearing this, he nodded with satisfaction. Sure enough, it was the right choice to leave this matter to Prime Minister Turtle. "Your method is good, but it requires us to lose a large number of people. Are there any other methods?" The Dragon King of the East China Sea really didn't want to see his people being disturbed in any way, so he had no choice but to ask again. Prime Minister Turtle told the Dragon King of the East China Sea several other methods he thought of. After hearing this, the Dragon King also knew this. "This method doesn't work. If that's the case, then just do what you said and let those people do it lavishly. When I teach them a lesson at that time, they will definitely have nothing to say." Just when he finished saying this, a shrimp soldier ran in a panic. Because he ran too fast, he fell in front of the Dragon King of the East China Sea. The Dragon King of the East China Sea saw him in such a hurry. He also knew that something serious might have happened, so he hurriedly helped him up and asked what happened. "Why are you so anxious?" As soon as I finished saying this, I saw the shrimp soldier burst into tears. "Something bad happened. Our Lady of the Fire Spirit who intercepted the teaching came to our side to cause trouble again, and a soldier who was standing guard with me just now was directly eliminated by him. I watched him die in front of me." After he finished saying this, the Dragon King of the East China Sea frowned. I really didn't expect that just as they were discussing how to deal with him, they would directly attack him. This approach is a bit too arrogant, isn't it? Isn't it true that no one in the East China Sea can stand up? It's really too much of a lie. Could it be that they didn't take Dong'an seriously at all? After saying this, the Dragon King of the East China Sea took a deep breath, took out his weapon, and walked out without saying a word. Seeing this, Prime Minister Gui followed him slowly, but she walked too slowly. When he went out, he had already seen the Dragon King of the East China Sea and the Fire Spirit Madonna of Ji Zhao standing together. The two people seemed to be talking to each other. In fact, from the beginning, the Dragon King of the East China Sea had never thought about having an affair with Ji Zhao. After all, the strength of the two of them was fighting here, and the people in Donghai would be affected in the end. But what she didn't expect was that the Fire Spirit Virgin would be so arrogant and threatened to kill him. All the fish were caught. After hearing this, she couldn't help it any longer and could only take out her weapon and key. Under such verbal provocation, he remained silent, which meant that he simply didn't care. They didn't dare to stand up. In a few days, rumors would probably begin to spread around them, saying that there was no one in the East China Sea, and even a little Fire Spirit Madonna dared to bully them. Chapter 484. Prime Minister Gui on the side only felt something was not good when he saw this. After all, he knew the strength of the Dragon King of the East China Sea, and his strength was inferior to the Holy Mother of the Fire Spirit. If the two sides really fight, the only one who will suffer is the Dragon King of the East China Sea. Seeing this, he could only crawl back with curses, hoping to find some helpers to help the Dragon King of the East China Sea. The Dragon King of the East China Sea only felt that he was under a lot of pressure, and the woman in front of him was not easy to mess with. "You brought this situation on your own. Originally, as long as you left here and didn't bother me, I could have chosen to let you live. But since you choose to stand in front of me and take out your sword, it means that you are going to fight me to the death." After saying this, he was not polite to the Dragon King of the East China Sea, and the two of them started fighting directly. Under the light of swords, the surrounding fish and shrimps could vaguely tell that some of the Dragon King of the East China Sea seemed to be at a disadvantage, and he was furious. The bigger the Holy Mother Spirit is, the greater the movement is. What a witch! The Dragon King of the East China Sea shouted, and then he took his sword and looked at the fire spirit Madonna, but he didn't know what tricks the fire spirit Madonna used to get past him. She also hit him on the chest with a palm, making him step back. After taking several steps, a mouthful of blood came out. He now had the consciousness to fight to the death with the person in front of him. At worst, she would drag the fire spirit Madonna to death together, but what he didn't expect was that the fire spirit Madonna would actually take the hand from him. The sword was snatched away, and he stabbed him with the sword. He felt a little shocked, and felt that he might not be able to avoid it this time. At this time, another sword came out from the side, and the sword was opened, and the Dragon King of the East China Sea looked at it and found that it was his son. After listening to Prime Minister Gui telling what happened here, Lai hurried over with the sword, just in time to save his father's life. "Father, are you okay? The two of us are being asked to teach this witch a lesson today." After hearing this, Our Lady of Fire Spirit couldn't help but laugh at the two of them. "I am a little weak woman, but I still need a Dragon King and a prince to deal with me under your water." After saying this, he started laughing wildly. Regardless of the two people's faces, the Dragon King of the East China Sea clenched the sword in his hand, took a deep breath and continued to deal with him. Originally, he thought that he and Dao Lijia together, they should be more or less able to deal with the fire spirit Madonna, but what he didn't expect was that the fire spirit Madonna revealed a powerful weapon of her own at this time. Take a good look at this weapon. This weapon can be refined with the blood of you Donghai people. It is the best against you. After saying this, he struck at the Dragon King of the East China Sea with one move. This time it was much more powerful than any other time. The Dragon King of the East China Sea had no time to dodge, but at this moment Lai hurriedly blocked her path. In front of him, the Dragon King of the East China Sea watched his son die in his arms. "My son!" the Dragon King of the East China Sea roared. For a moment, he just felt that he could not accept that his son was still so young and died in his arms to save himself. How could he accept it? Then his eyes turned red, and the spiritual energy in his body, it was already running around in his body uncontrollably. Seeing this, Our Lady of Fire Spirit next to her also knew why he was like this, so she even took 2 steps back. Just like that, the Dragon King of the East China Sea self-destructed here. "See Our Lady of Fire Spirit." He chuckled lightly, turned and left. Chapter 485. Because the movement on their side was a bit too loud, there were many aquatic people watching around. They originally thought that the Dragon King of the East China Sea would definitely win. After all, underwater was their home field, and with the help of the prince. But what none of them expected was that the last 2 people died, and the culprit actually left in front of them. Everyone couldn't accept this scene, and everyone around them began to lament, and many fish cried outright. Prime Minister Gigui next to him also began to regret when he saw this scene. He originally brought the prince here because he wanted him to help the Dragon King of the East China Sea teach the fire spirit Holy Mother a lesson, but he did not expect that both of them ended their lives here. Now his heart was filled with grief. While he was sad that a Dragon King and a prince had died on their side, he was also thinking about how he should explain to the Dragon Mother. He specially called the prince here today. If it hadn't been for him, it is very likely that the prince would not have died. In addition, he was standing by and watching 2 people die one after another without being able to do anything. Thinking of this, he let out a long sigh. At this moment, he suddenly felt that something was not right around him. Those little fish and shrimps seemed to be frightened, and now they are afraid of their future lives. The demon girl will definitely think that there is no one in our East China Sea, and I am afraid it will get worse in the future, and our hard times are coming. Compared with the death of the Dragon King, these fish are more afraid that they will have a bad life in the future. This makes Prime Minister Turtle feel particularly unhappy. When they saw the death of the Dragon King and the prince, the first thing they felt was not sadness but feelings. He was so afraid that they would think that there was no one in the East China Sea, and they were still in panic. If this went on for a long time, it would be impossible for the East China Sea to recover in a short time. Thinking of this made him feel hairy all over, and he must not let this kind of thing continue. After that, Prime Minister Turtle ran into the Dragon Palace again and asked people everywhere where Aojing was. He asked many people, but none of them could find out where Aojing was. Just when he felt a little disappointed, he suddenly saw Aojing, the personal guard beside him. He asked the guard and found out that Aojing was writing in the study. When he passed by, Aojing was still practicing calligraphy, and he was very happy to see him. Prime Minister Turtle, you are here. Let me see how I write my handwriting. If I show the calligraphy to my father, he will definitely be happy. Later I will show the calligraphy to my mother. She likes to watch me practice calligraphy. After he said this, he took out his handwriting with confidence. He believed that his handwriting today would definitely open the eyes of others. Prime Minister Turtle didn't know how to answer him for a while. If the Dragon King, if he were really here, he would definitely be very happy for his son to write such good calligraphy. But now that the Dragon King is gone and can't see his handwriting, he can't help but feel even sadder when he thinks of this. Get up. Afterwards, Prime Minister Turtle told the prince everything. At first, the prince could not accept this fact, but then he thought that he still needed to appease the other Shui tribe people, so he could bite the bullet and pretend to be indifferent and go out. He comforted everyone. With his appearance, the fish in the aquarium have stabilized a lot, but this poor child has been hiding himself. Chapter 486. Prime Minister Turtle finally met Dragon Mother again and told Dragon Mother everything. Dragon Mother was also shocked when she found out. He never thought that things would develop like this. At this moment, he suddenly regretted that he had said so many excessive words to the Dragon King of the East China Sea. Unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, the Dragon King of the East China Sea would be gone. If he had known that something like this would happen, he would never let the Dragon King of the East China Sea handle it. Please tell me the ins and outs of this matter. How come this wonderful team is gone? Aojing took 2 steps forward and told everything he knew, as well as the causes and consequences. What he said was quite different from the facts, so Prime Minister Turtle did not add anything, but waited quietly. He seeing the Dragon Mother's expression getting worse and worse. It can even be said that it is difficult to bear her own anger. The Fire Spirit Mother is really bullying others. She dares to do such a thing even though they are still under the sea. Is it possible that she is not afraid? They directly report your love to heaven? When the Jade Emperor comes down to blame, it is estimated that the Fire Spirit Holy Mother and the others will also have a hard time. Thinking of this, he took a deep breath, feeling uncomfortable and comfortable all over his body. Her husband was gone and she also lost a son. How could he accept the prince like this? He was extremely sad. Don't worry about this matter so much for now. Your most important thing is to appease those people in the Shui tribe. Leave the rest to me. Son, your father and brother cannot die in vain. Actually, Mother of Dragons had already thought clearly just now. He would never let Our Lady of Fire Spirit have an easy time. There is also the Jijiao, and everyone in that sect must pay the price. After that, Mother of Dragons said that she still wanted to. She left here when something happened. In fact, she found a private place to cover her mouth and shed a few tears. She knew it was not the time to cry yet. The 2 people had just died and the real murderer had not yet been punished. The most important thing is to find someone who can avenge them to solve this problem. Now Dong Hai's strength is not very good. The 2 dragons combined cannot defeat a human. It is estimated that it will be difficult for him to help avenge him. Those who can avenge Shen Long was the only one left. Fortunately, Shen Long was still staying in the Dragon Palace. After the Mother of Dragons rubbed her eyes, making them red and swollen, she went to find Shen Long with this embarrassed look. Shen Long was surprised when he saw Dragon Mother's embarrassment. Every time he saw Dragon Mother, he always saw her carefully dressed up. It was the first time he saw him in such embarrassment. Please make the decision for us. After saying this, she shed a few more tears, which made Shen Long's eyes jump. What on earth happened to make Mother Dragon so sad? You don't need to say so many polite words to me. Just tell me what happened. After hearing this, the Dragon Mother nodded and told all the causes and consequences of the matter. After hearing this, Shen Long also felt a little unhappy. Those people actually bullied the first member of the Tobkanjiang Shui tribe, caught him away. He actually did such an outrageous thing. No wonder Dragon Mother was so sad. Shen Long clenched his fist slightly, but did not let Dragon Mother notice. Then he snorted coldly and said the Dragon Mother said nothing, but disappeared directly from here. Chapter 487. Before leaving, Shen Long did not forget to inform little Jingwei, and he stood on the land waiting for little Jingwei. Before the duel, little Jingwei also came out of the water. He followed Shen Long all the way and asked Shen Long briefly about the situation. This made him couldn't help but sigh. He really didn't expect those people to be able to do things like this. No wonder Shen Long was so angry. The two people didn't talk too much nonsense along the way and rushed directly to the Taoist temple. They didn't know where Our Lady of Fire Spirits was, but the two of them knew about Our Lady of Fire Spirits and a master named Taoist Duobao. Taoist Duobao happened to be here. When they arrived, Shen Long kicked the door without saying a word. There was just a thud, and the door instantly fell to the ground and shattered. Then Shen Long went in and threw things inside. Not long after, someone came and hurried over. Seeing Shen Long smashing things, the man felt unhappy and hurriedly stopped Shen Long. Why did this fellow Taoist do this? Can you tell me? Taoist Duobao did not attack Shen Long directly, but asked him why. After all, he guessed that Shen Long was not an easy person to deal with. If Shen Long had no real ability, he would not dare to come and hit him at all. Guanzi. And Shen Long chuckled and directly told Taoist Duobao all the things that Our Lady of Fire Spirit did. Since Taoist Duobao is the master of Our Lady of Fire Spirit, it means that he is the father of Our Lady of Fire Spirit. It was his responsibility that he failed to teach Our Lady of the Fire Spirit well. Taoist Duobao raised his eyebrows, and he did not believe a word of what Shen Long said. Why did the good Madonna of the Fire Spirit run away? Going to the bottom of the water to fight with the Dragon King of the East China Sea, or even kill people? Doing so will not do any good to the Fire Spirit Madonna, not to mention that once the matter is exposed, the Fire Spirit Madonna will also receive a very severe punishment. I wonder if there is anything unclear about these things. We might as well sit down and talk about them. I have nothing to talk about with you. Let your apprentice come out quickly. After he comes out, I will only punish him. As for you, I can still spare your life, but if you insist on refusing, be careful and I will kill you as well. After saying this, he smashed a table with his bare hands. Seeing this, Taoist Duobao felt particularly dissatisfied. This table was made of pear wood and was extremely precious. Not to mention this, how could he bear it when someone wronged his own land with nothing but nothing? Then he took a deep breath, pulled out a sword, and stabbed Shen Long. Shen Long did not retreat, but faced him directly, and up. He grabbed the sword and broke it directly. Seeing Taoist Duobao's eyes widen in surprise, it was a good sword, and it was specially made by him. How could he be so fragile? This can prove that Shen Long's strength is higher than him, and he is also particularly powerful. But so what? Even if Shen Long is more powerful than him, it does not mean that Shen Long can go there casually. Wronged his apprentice. I don't care where you are a master. Since you have wronged my apprentice, you should pay the corresponding price. Today I will let you know how to rise the word regret. Chapter 488. Until now, Shen Long still didn't put Taoist Duobao in his eyes. For him, the slightest effort may not be as good as that of the Holy Mother of Fire Spirit. He didn't know whether it was the Holy Mother of Fire Spirit's extraordinary talent or whether she had relied on those crooked ways to improve her strength to this point. But what he knew was that he could not let these people go no matter what. Then let's see who wrote those two words first in the end. After saying this, he was not polite to the other party, and directly took out his weapon, and the two people began to confront each other head-on. Taoist Duobao also began to understand Shen Long's true strength more clearly after he knew it. His attitude toward Shen Long was completely different from just now. Shen Long could also feel that he was not as easy to deal with as before, and the weapons he took out were more powerful than before. But Shen Long was fearless, and in several rounds of disputes in the alley, Taoist Duobao gradually fell into a disadvantage. He even felt that he could stab him to death at any time as long as he muttered thoughts. But the reason why Shen Long did not do this was to wait for the appearance of Our Lady of Fire Spirit. The reason why Our Lady of Fire Spirit did not appear now is because he was still hiding in a corner and actively observing. At this moment, Shen Long casually scratched Taoist Duo Bao's shoulder. At this time, Our Lady of Fire Spirit couldn't stand it anymore, so he jumped out directly. He came and stood between Shen Long and Taoist Duo Bao. Every wrong has its own owner. This matter has nothing to do with my master. If you really want to punish me, then punish me. Why do you have to involve my master? The Holy Mother of Fire Spirit looked back at Taoist Duo Bao and felt very guilty when she saw the wound on his shoulder. If it weren't for herself, the master wouldn't have to suffer such torture at all. When I asked you to let me go, my master didn't do anything. As long as you let him go, the two of us can go to the side and continue fighting. Shen Long chuckled after hearing this. He had no intention of agreeing to him at all. After all, he knew who Taoist Duo Bao was before he came here. He knew that Taoist Duo Bao was not a good person, and he usually did evil things. He did it a lot, but he was different from the Fire Spirit Mother. The Fire Spirit Mother was public, while Duo Bao Taoist did it secretly, trying not to leave any clues. It's a pity that today I want you two to die here together. After saying this, his sword sped up and stabbed at Our Lady of the Fire Spirit. The Lady of the Fire Spirit hurriedly took a few steps back, realizing that there was probably no room for negotiation, so he stopped mentioning it. In this matter, he fought with Shen Long wholeheartedly. It just so happens that I have just mastered a sword here and haven't used it a few times. How about him? He is the third person he killed today. After saying this, the Holy Mother of Fire Spirit took out the sword. The sword had a lot of scales on it and looked extremely hard. Even the sword had some special symbols on it. Shen Long couldn't help but become even more angry when she saw this. She recognized that the patterns on the sword were those of the Dragon Clan, which meant that the sword was made by people from the Dragon Clan. Open your eyes and see that this sword is called the Dragon Slaying Sword. I killed those two dragons with this sword. Today you will die by this sword like those two dragons. I want to let you know who is the best. The Holy Mother of Fire Spirit is quite confident in her sword, and firmly believes that she can easily defeat Shen Long. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 489. Shen Long knew that Mother Long might have misunderstood, so he explained it clearly in advance and did not mention it again. Although Mother Long felt embarrassed, she felt less embarrassed when she saw that Shen Long no longer mentioned it. Then Shen Long found a relatively quiet place and continued his practice. He couldn't stay down while practicing. If he stayed down for too long, who knew who would come up tomorrow? It will be too late to regret it by then. On the other side, Our Lady of Jinling had been waiting for her sister to return, but no one came for a long time. At this time, he couldn't help but be suspicious. Then he inquired outside and found out that his sister had been killed by Shen Long. He got it. When she heard the news, she still didn't believe that her sister died so easily. After all, she knew her sister's strength, but she couldn't find anyone after looking around, so she had to become suspicious. At this moment, two people passed by him. The two people were whispering about his sister. Is what you said true? That day, Shen Long actually killed the Holy Mother of Fire Spirit and his master directly. There was a little goblin among them, and some others who didn't believe it covered their mouths and looked very surprised. Another little goblin became proud. This is because you are not well informed. I told you earlier that you should pay more attention to external things. You still don't know about this kind of thing? Let me tell you, if you see Shen Long again in the future, you must stay far away. He is not easy to mess with. After the Golden Spirit Mother heard this, without saying a word, she pulled the little goblin who was talking over and asked him, "Is what you said true?" The little goblin was suddenly pulled over, feeling a little unhappy in her heart. But seeing the Golden Spirit Mother, she felt that the Golden Spirit Mother was not someone to be trifled with, so she could only explain slowly, "It's absolutely true. Not only do I know about this, but many other goblins know about it. If you don't believe it, you can ask a few more." After listening to what the little goblin said, Hao Yixing felt weak all over. How could her sister be killed so quickly? Then his hands trembled, and the little goblin took this opportunity to run away. The golden spirit mother shook her head. He shook his head, still not believing this. What if his sister was not killed? What if these goblins were wrong? With this expectation, he went all the way to find the leader of Tangshan. The leader of Tangshan heard that it was the Holy Mother of the Golden Spirit who came and asked people to let him in directly. I believe you have also heard about your sister. I am extremely sorry for this matter. By the time I found out, she was no longer here. Before Holy Mother Jinling could ask, she heard the apology from Master Tangshan. He bit his lower lip and shook his head. His eyes were full of tears, but he still couldn't bear to stay. Are you lying to me? This thing is not true at all. My sister will not die so easily. Seeing him like this, Master Tangshan knew in his heart that he was just deceiving himself, and then he casually took he placed the bead in front of the Golden Spirit Mother, and he kept chanting it. After a while, the image inside the bead changed. Our Lady of Jinling looked at the three people inside the table, her sister, Shen Long, and her master. These three people were fighting back and forth inside. It didn't take long. Kung Fu, her sister and her master were both dead. She took a deep breath, knowing that Master Tangshan would not lie to her. Chapter 490. I never wanted to tell you about this, just because I was afraid that you would be heartbroken and unable to bear the pain. Now that you already know, there is no point in hiding it anymore. After Master Tangshan said these words, he let out a long sigh. Our Lady of the Golden Spirit held the bead in front of him. He looked at the figure inside and slowly blurred before he came back to his senses. He blinked, and the words in his eyes were tears couldn't help but flow down, and they fell on the bead drop by drop. My sister is not usually a public person, so why did Shen Long come to see him? I know, it must be Shen Long's fault. My sister was such a gentle person, but Shen Long actually killed her. I will go to him to take revenge now. After saying this, he pulled out his sword, took a deep breath and rushed outside. Seeing this, the leader of Tangshan Cult got down from his seat and stopped in front of the Golden Spirit Mother. Don't stop me. Today I will avenge my sister. I will fight against anyone who stops me. After saying this, Lord Tangshan shook his head, thinking only I feel that the Golden Spirit Mother is a bit too naive. Shen Long's strength is not even comparable to that of his sister, so how can the Holy Mother of the Golden Spirit be able to defeat her? Now, in the past, she was clearly going to die. You need not to panic about this matter, and you need to think about it in the long term. I have been thinking about it for a long time and know how to deal with her. If you go there now, I'm afraid you won't be his opponent. After hearing what Master Tangshan said, Holy Mother Jinling shook her head confidently. He is more powerful than his sister, not to mention that her sister helped him strengthen his weapon not long ago. This time he will definitely be able to. He can beat Shen Long. The reason why my sister failed may be because she underestimated this guy too much. My sister was so kind to me, so I couldn't be a white-eyed wolf and let my sister die in vain. I don't think you can stop the leader. My sister and I have had a deep relationship since we were young. You know this, so you better not stop me, otherwise I will feel uncomfortable. Tangshan Cult Master still refused. Despite his repeated attempts, Our Lady of the Golden Spirit did not change his mind. You believe me, I'm doing this for your own good, but since you insist on going, I can't stop you. As he spoke, he took out a treasure from his pocket. To be honest, it was a bit reluctant to give this thing to the Holy Mother of the Golden Spirit. However, thinking that the sister of Our Lady of the Golden Spirit had just died, she could not let her sister die too. In desperation, she could only completely take out the keep this thing well. It will be of great use to you and can save your life. Whether you survive this time depends entirely on your luck. After hearing this, Holy Mother Jinling nodded cautiously and accepted the treasure directly without being polite to the Tangshan Cult Master. If this is the case, then I won't be polite to you. I will accept the things, hoping to help my sister get revenge. After saying this, he took the weapon and walked directly outside. Seeing him being so reckless, Master Tangshan sighed. Originally, everyone could discuss it together slowly. With the help of the Golden Spirit Mother, I believe that they will be able to defeat Shen Long in a short time. Unfortunately, You are a little too reckless. I am afraid that going there this time will be a disaster. The leader of Tangshan has already made preparations. There is a high probability that the Holy Mother of the Golden Spirit will not be able to return. Coming. Chapter 491. Our Lady of Jinling went all the way down to the sea. He encountered many small fish and shrimps along the way, but none of them could stop them. He was directly dealt with by him. No matter who came up or down the road, he wouldn't even know he had stolen the fish and shrimps after seeing them, just because the smell of blood on his body was too strong. At the same time, Prime Minister Turtle was also checking the security of the Shui tribe. Recently, with the knowledge of Shen Long and Shen Long's martial arts secret book, the situation of the Shui tribe is getting better and better, and everyone's mental outlook is different from before. It was even better than when the Dragon King of the East China Sea was around. He didn't know whether he should be happy or sad for a moment. Originally, the prince should do these things, but now the prince still has to practice. Without the crown prince, the Dragon King of the East China Sea will naturally have to continuously improve his strength to be able to control this position as soon as possible. Prime Minister Turtle has replaced many things, even inspections, and inspections need him to do. Prime Minister Turtle looked at the only organized team in front of him and felt very satisfied for a moment. Fortunately, everyone recovered quickly. Everyone performed very well today. Because the prince is still practicing, I will check the situation on his behalf. Every move here will be reported to the prince. Everyone must continue to maintain it in the future. If anyone breaks this kind of public order, I will definitely not spare him lightly. After saying this, he waved again and walked over immediately when he saw it. Has there been anything unusual lately? Are there any enemies coming to fight? Prime Minister Turtle always has a bad feeling, fearing that some enemy will attack their water tribe again. After all, their strength has just recovered, and if they are interrupted again at this time, they will probably fall into ruin. It is impossible for Shen Long to. She has been staying by their side to help them. It is precisely because of this that she has always been cautious. Yasha shook her head, only feeling that Prime Minister Turtle was a little too nervous. Don't worry, even if others want to call over, they must take Shen Long into consideration. After all, Shen Long is still here, and they won't just sit there so easily. Recently, the Jade Emperor also needs to know about the East China Sea, which is also special to us. Of attention. As soon as he finished saying this, before Prime Minister Gui had time to reply, he saw a woman running towards us with a weapon not far away. When he saw this, he immediately shouted, "Who is the person in front? Stop!" This woman actually broke into the palace. Seeing this, Yasha hurriedly led a group of people to surround the woman. Only then did he see that this woman was somewhat similar to the fire spirit Madonna who he had fought before. "You must be the fish and shrimps in the East China Sea. My sister was harmed by you before. Today I am here to avenge my sister." After the Holy Mother of Jinling finished speaking, she didn't talk nonsense to them and directly picked up the weapon. He shouted with a knife in both hands and slashed at the shrimp closest to him. That's just because shrimps are famous for their hard shells. Ordinary weapons couldn't penetrate it at all, but this woman chopped off his head easily, and the fish around him felt a little panic when they saw this. "Don't be nervous, everyone. I want to see what this woman is really capable of." After Yaksha said this, he took the weapon from the hand of a small fish next to him and went up to fight with the Golden Spirit Mother. Chapter 492. Are you still my opponent? The Holy Mother of the Golden Spirit didn't take it seriously at all. He picked up his big knife and made Yaksha retreat step by step. Yaksha also realized that there was a high probability that he would not be able to defeat the woman in front of him. It seems that the weapon this woman is holding is an ordinary broadsword, but every attack is powerful and fast. If you are not careful, you may be decapitated by him. Prime Minister Turtle, please go back and tell the prince about this. I will guard this place now. Yaksha knew very well that it would not be long before this woman would step on her body and continue to enter. Aojin is still practicing. If he is interrupted at this time, he is likely to face a crisis, and the people of the Shui tribe are probably not enough to kill the Golden Spirit Mother. If this woman sincerely wants to come here to cause trouble, It is estimated that the rest of the Shui tribe will not be able to support it for long. Prime Minister Turtle also reacted after hearing this, but it is a pity that he carrying a heavy crust and even swimming slowly makes people anxious. Don't snort after hearing this. No matter who comes next, he probably won't be able to dress it up, so he kicked Yakshaw over, but what he didn't expect was that he could run far away with his strength. Then he directly picked up Prime Minister Turtle and ran inside with Prime Minister Turtle. The other fish and shrimps were killed. They guarded this place desperately, hoping to stop her for a while. Yashi took the golden spirit Madonna and ran all the way. Their nerves were tense all the way. When they saw Ao Jing, they relaxed. Now I am afraid that only Ao Jing can resist that woman. Ao Jing had just finished practicing. He was a little surprised when he saw Prime Minister Gui running over in such a hurry. He didn't even want to show his majesty. What happened? Why are you so nervous? Prime Minister Turtle explained what happened just now without saying a word, and Ao Jing's expression suddenly became particularly bad. The water tribe had only been relieved for a few days when someone came forward to tease them again. Isn't this? Do you really not want to make it so easy? This time, you can't lose no matter what. Otherwise the Shui tribe will really face a big crisis. Whether they can save the East China Sea is another matter. He took a deep breath. He picked up his sword in one breath and went out to fight without saying a word. Not long after he left, he saw the woman trampling on the remaining corpses and walking inside. His eyes turned red when he saw this. This woman, he didn't take their aquarium people seriously at all, and actually broke into the dragon palace and killed so many fish and shrimps. Stop! Who is coming? Ao Jing wanted to ask why this woman attacked them. Holy Mother of the Golden Spirit, I am the sister of Holy Mother of the Fire Spirit. I am here today to avenge my sister. After saying this, he took a look at the clothes Ao Jing was wearing and probably guessed Ao Jing's identity. Then he didn't talk nonsense to Ao Jing. He directly picked up the big knife and started fighting with Ao Jing. Ao Jing originally thought that he would definitely have an advantage against this woman. But what he didn't expect was that this woman was far more powerful than him. Even he probably wouldn't be able to hold on for long, and he was defeated in a short time. Come down. Chapter 493. Ao Lai nodded to Shen Long after seeing her. He didn't know what happened in the East China Sea Dragon Palace recently, so he just thought it was the same as before. Then he stepped forward to borrow the magic weapon from the Dragon King of the East China Sea. Father? I came here this time to ask you to lend me a magic weapon. My master and I will go to the west to obtain scriptures. However, due to unusual weather conditions, floods suddenly occurred and the water temperature was too high. Many local people were persecuted by this disaster. After saying this, Ao Lai took a deep breath and felt a little uncomfortable. He saw with his own eyes how the people were sucked into the scalding water, and the most difficult thing was for their masters and disciples. They couldn't get through. The flood blocked all the way they wanted to go. What is this phenomenon? I have never heard that water is hot. Are there fish in the water? The Dragon King of the East China Sea was also very surprised after hearing it and asked hurriedly. Ao Lai shook his head and told the Dragon King of the East China Sea everything he saw at that time. Not to mention the Dragon King of the East China Sea. Even Shen Long listened for a long time. I don't know why this happens. There is no magic weapon on our side that can contain that. Originally, the Dragon King of the East China Sea thought that if the water was not hot, he could just go over there and suck the water over. But when he heard that the water was hot, he immediately became unwilling. No wonder Ao Lai came over to ask. It was because the water was hot. Yes. So the Dragon Clan couldn't suck the water over. After hearing this, Shen Long raised his eyebrows slightly. He didn't expect that even the Dragon King of the East China Sea couldn't do this. But he happened to have a way, so he patted the side Prime Minister Turtle. Prime Minister Turtle looked at Shen Long in surprise after being photographed. Is there somewhere I can be used for? Shen Long nodded. This time I will go with you. Although I have never seen this phenomenon, I have come up with another method. I don't know if it can be used. After that, Ao Lai took Shen Long to that place. When Shen Long arrived, he saw that this place was flooded, and the water slowly rose. He reached out and touched the water. The water temperature was higher than he expected, and it was unbearable for ordinary people. Ao Lai next to him was a little surprised at first, But when he thought that Shen Long was not an ordinary person, it didn't matter even if he put his hand in. "Don't worry, I have a way to ask Prime Minister Gui to take a few of you masters and disciples over here, and I will naturally take care of it. As for Prime Minister Turtle, don't worry, I will add a layer of magic to you to prevent you from getting burned." After hearing this, Prime Minister Turtle naturally had no objection, since he would not be burned. It would be equivalent to ordinary river water, so there was nothing to be afraid of. Then Prime Minister Turtle got into the water, and it was not as hot as expected. After that, he slowly grew bigger. Tang Seng and his masters and disciples went up, and Prime Minister Turtle carried them forward slowly. When Shen Long saw that they had reached the other side of the shore, he asked Prime Minister Turtle to he also followed up. Then he muttered something in his mouth, and saw that he waved the river water with his big hand, and it slowly condensed into a solid shape, and ran towards his hand, but the river water disappeared in his hand. At the same time, some relatively warm water appeared in the deserted areas of the East China Sea. The water was mixed with the hot water and quickly cooled down. Chapter 494. After that, Shen Long slowly walked over and came to Tang Seng's side. Tang Seng still felt that he couldn't understand why so much water suddenly disappeared. Shen Long simply explained to him that she had actually drawn a formation on her hand and somewhere in the East China Sea just now, and the spells he just recited were nothing more than attracting the water to his hands. When the water touched the formation on her hand, it was naturally sucked in. Finally, it appeared in the East China Sea, which is as big as the East China Sea. There was so much cold water in it. Drinking the hot water mixed with it, the water temperature gradually became warmer. For the fish inside, there is no big disadvantage if the living environment becomes better. After Tang Seng heard this, he understood and hurriedly thanked Shen Long. Shen Long had helped them before, but this time he even helped them with such a big favor. "No need to thank me, it's just a little help. If you need me in the future, you can ask someone to notify me, if I can do it. If so, I will try my best to help you." After saying this, the man went out to drive them and waved his hand. After that, he shrunk Prime Minister Turtle and put it in his palm, while he walked slowly first. Just when he wanted to return to the East China Sea, there was something in front of him, but the Virgin Mary of Yudang suddenly appeared. He immediately became alert when he saw the Virgin Mary of Yudang. Even his expression was a little uncomfortable, and he was also a little worried when the Virgin Mary of Yudang appeared. He knew that Shen Long was worried about him. "My impression has never been very good. This time he came out so recklessly. I don't know if Shen Long will take action directly." "Don't rush to take action. This time I came out to ask you to do me a favor." When he said this, he was also a little worried that Shen Long would not listen to him, but what he didn't expect was that Shen Long didn't have such a reaction. Instead, he raised an eyebrow slightly and stood there waiting for him. Explanation, and she told all the things that happened to her recently. Only then did Shen Long realize that he had indeed merged with the fire spirit Madonna. It was just that the fire spirit Madonna suddenly separated from him, and he was conferred as a god and became a little fairy. And now he is just an ordinary person. How can he be willing to do this? What's more, the reason why the fire spirit Madonna can become an immortal is mainly because of its reasons. But the fire not only was the Holy Mother not grateful to him, but she also added insult to injury, making him feel particularly uncomfortable. So he ran over to find Shen Long. He hoped that Shen Long could help him, but Shen Long felt a little embarrassed after hearing this. "It's easy to talk about other things, but I still have to take care of whether you are a god or not. Not to mention the things you did before that I haven't said yet." The corners of Madonna Yudang's mouth twitched slightly after hearing this. He knew that Shen Long would most likely not care about him. After all, the things he did were really not worth letting others help him. Just when he was frustrated and wanted to leave at this place, Shen Long suddenly stopped him. After thinking about it seriously, he began to think of a way for him. Seeing the Yudang Virgin here, he rekindled his hope. But at the same time, he still felt that Shen Long was so helpful to him. That's right, after all, he did participate in the persecution of the Shui tribe before, but he was not fully involved. Chapter 495. And it was indeed a bit too much for Shen Long to wrongly accuse him before. Don't worry, isn't it just you who wants to be a god? I'll find someone for you right now. After saying this, I pulled Madame Yudang and walked forward together. Originally, there was an ordinary road ahead of them, but Madonna Yudang only felt a flash in front of her, and soon the scene had turned into a vast expanse of white. They continued to walk forward and saw a man sitting in front of him fishing, and Shen Long Jia went up directly and stood beside him to talk to him. There's something I want to tell you. Zhang Jia was obviously a little unhappy after hearing this, thinking that Shen Long had disturbed his fish. If you have anything to say, just say it. Shen Long directly asked the Yudang Virgin beside him to pull out and asked Zhang Jia to consecrate the Yudang Virgin. Originally Zhang Jia was a little dissatisfied, but seeing Shen Long insisting on the request, he had no choice but to agree. Originally, Yudang Madonna's strength had already been achieved, and he should have become a god. But Zhang Zia's own personal feelings denied him. That's why he was not allowed to become a god. What was Yudang Madonna particularly puzzled about? Waiting until Yudang after the Holy Mother truly became a deity. He didn't want to go to heaven again. The deities in the sky were completely different from what he imagined. Who knows how many deities like Zhang Jia there are in the sky? Besides, it's probably useless for him to go up now. Huoling the Holy Mother is still up there, and it is estimated that the two of them will quarrel when they meet. If the relationship cannot be handled harmoniously, they may be squeezed out by other gods. He thought about it, and finally made a somewhat unreasonable request to Shen Long. I hope I can go to Huago Mountain to guard the monkeys on Huago Mountain. I don't know if that's possible. When he said this, he also hoped that Shen Long would not be angry. After all, Shen Long finally asked for this physical and mental position for him. But now he doesn't want to go to heaven to become a god, but wants to go to Huago Mountain. Shen Long did feel a little helpless after hearing it, but he didn't feel angry at all. He should be second to the Virgin Mother and the god. It was his own choice that he didn't want to go to heaven. What reason did he have for him? Are others angry? Since Mother Yudang wanted it, he would naturally not refuse. But before she agreed, he said a lot of things to Mother Yudang. Let Mother Yudang confirm that she really wanted to go to Huago Mountain. The Holy Mother of Yudang is now determined in her heart. No matter what Shen Long says, she doesn't want to go to heaven again. Don't worry, I can assure you on this matter, I don't want to go to heaven anymore. Shen Long sighed after hearing this. He felt that such a good talent was wasted. If he becomes a god in heaven, he can slowly go up. Maybe he can become a great god in the future, but now I'm afraid from now on, I can only live with the monkeys in Huago Mountain. Shen Long stepped forward and took the hand of Yudang Virgin, and took him directly to Huago Mountain. Many monkeys in Huago Mountain gathered around. Then look, Our Lady of Yudang got along quite well with these monkeys, and then she stepped forward and put a finger on the forehead of Our Lady of Yudang. Our Lady of Yudang felt a throbbing pain in her head, and she couldn't think about it after she died. What happened before I got up? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 496. He just remembered that he practiced hard and diligently and finally became a god. However, he didn't want to go to heaven, so he came to Huago Mountain. After Shen Long dealt with the matter of Yudang Virgin, he did not return to the cold palace mechanically. Instead, he hid in the dark for a while. After quietly observing and confirming that there was really no problem with Our Lady of Yudang, we returned to the Dragon Palace. When he returned, he thought that he would practice quietly, find a place to retreat, and practice for a year and a half before coming out. When he comes out, his strength will definitely be even higher. But what he didn't expect was that he had already been captured by the Dragon King of the East China Sea before he did this. The Dragon King of East China Sea looked at his doubtful eyes and felt a little embarrassed for a moment. In fact, I didn't mean to disturb your cultivation. It's just that before, I thought that I wanted to invite the Dragon Kings from various sea areas to a banquet, and I will introduce you to them and take a look at their attitude at the same time, so can I beg you to postpone your own cultivation first?" Before the Dragon King of the East China Sea said this, he was already prepared to be rejected. After all, he had to cultivate himself. It is indeed better to disturb others with these trivial matters at the banquet. But what he did not expect was that Shen Long thought about it. He actually nodded and agreed. He was a little surprised. "Thank you very much. If you need anything for your cultivation in the future, feel free to mention it to me and I will try my best to find someone to help you find it." Shen Long nodded and didn't say anything at the time, so he returned to his residence. Since he couldn't practice quickly, he could also slow down his practice slowly, and lay a solid foundation. While he was practicing, another person came over from outside. The person came in carefully for fear of disturbing Shen Long, but Shen Long was particularly sensitive to the surrounding environment. He could feel it immediately when someone came over, so Yazan had already opened his eyes before he sat next to him. Yazan looked into his eyes, and for a moment he only felt a little embarrassed. "Did I disturb you? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to." After hearing this, Shen Long didn't say much. He just motioned for him to sit down and talk. She told Shen Long her intention of coming this time. It turned out that she only wanted Shen Long to teach him spells. "I heard from my father that you have training assignments recently and have been hesitating whether to come or not, but after thinking about it again, I felt that no one had given me proper guidance on my spells. It was indeed not very good, so please let me bother you for a little more time." Shen Long nodded after hearing this. This matter was not a problem for him. He also said that he didn't have anything particularly important to do the transaction now, so it was okay to argue, so as not to worry about them in the future. There was no one who had the strength to stand up and resist the foreigners. He thought about it and felt that he could not teach Yazan so easily. He had to test his strength first. So he told Yazan his thoughts, and Yazan listened. After arriving, he expressed that he could understand. "Don't worry, isn't it just a test of my strength? I will definitely try my best to show all my benefits so that you can see the real strength of me." Chapter 497. This time Shen Long deliberately speeded up his speed. It was the first time he ran so fast that even Yazan next to him couldn't keep up. "You go quickly, you don't have to wait for me to go with all my strength. We must save the fire spirit Madonna. Our water tribe depends on you." Yizi also knew that it would be difficult for him to keep up with Shen Long's speed, so he could only shout at Shen Long. After hearing this, Shen Long nodded and immediately sped up and rushed over. Yizi also ran forward as hard as he could. Wait until when he ran over, he saw Shen Long standing there blankly. Standing opposite Shen Long was the Holy Mother of the Golden Spirit. Kong finally arrived, and Dao Jingren was right. Yazan took a deep breath, and then looked at Shen Long. Shen Long didn't speak, but bit his lower lip. Seeing Shen Long's reaction, he probably already guessed the outcome, but he didn't dare to do it now. "I believe that he and Dao Jing have a good relationship, and the entire dragon clan is now supported by Dao Jing. The loss of a dragon is a huge blow to their dragon clan. Don't tell me he wasn't saved." After Yazan finished these words, Shen Long remained silent and did not answer him. He took a deep breath, clenched his fists, and looked at the Golden Spirit Mother angrily. If it were not for the Golden Spirit Mother, things would not have turned out like this at all. So he wanted to go forward and fight with the Golden Spirit Mother, but was stopped by Shen Long. He looked at Shen Long angrily, although he knew that he should not vent his anger on Shen Long now. But he still can't control his emotions. "Why do you stop me like this and let me go up and have a good fight with him? Although I can't beat him, I still want him to learn a certain lesson. Even if I die in self-protection, I have to drag him to die with me." After Rao Jing said this, he wanted to push Shen Long away, but Shen Long tapped his acupuncture point and stopped him in place. Seeing that he was so eager, Shen Long understood his mood, so he reached out and patted him on the back. "It doesn't make much sense to talk about revenge or not now. The most important thing is what to do about the future of your aquatic tribe. As for the Holy Mother of the Golden Spirit opposite, I don't know what Shen Long said to him. Now he has been standing there without speaking, and his expression seems a little bad. Shen Long didn't pay much attention to the Holy Mother of the Golden Spirit. After fixing Ao Jing here, he stopped caring about Ao Jing. Instead, he squatted on the ground alone and kept touching something. After a while, Shen Long picked up a few fragments in his hand, and then called Ao Jing's body. The hole is untied. Take a good look at what this is. In the moment just now, Ye Zhen has thought about a lot of things clearly, although he feels sorry for Ao Jing in his heart. But the most important thing now is the Shui tribe. After all, there are many other dragons in the Shui tribe. The whole thing cannot be ruined because of Ao Jing. Water tribe. Then he looked at Shen Long's hand and found that it turned out to be the soul fragments of the Dragon King of the East China Sea. He didn't know how Shen Long got these back, but what's the use of taking these soul fragments now? Why are you showing me these things? Shen Long knew that these soul fragments would definitely be of some help to Dong Hai, and then he waved to call the Holy Mother of the Golden Spirit over. In this way, the three of them stood together to discuss the future of the Dragon Clan. Chapter 498. I just heard Shen Long say what happened before. I'm sorry about this. I didn't expect that it was my sister who attacked the Shui tribe first today. Before that, I was always blinded by hatred and didn't think much about it. This time I solemnly express my sincere gratitude to you. An apology for the matter. The sudden apology made Ye Zhen not know what to say for a moment. He still resented the Holy Mother of the Golden Spirit in his heart. If it wasn't the Holy Mother of the Golden Spirit, how could Ao Jing die? But now the other party seems to be sincerely apologizing to him. He couldn't say anything more. He could only grit his teeth and stop talking. It's useless to talk about it now. Tell me who told me that you wanted to come to the East China Sea to take revenge? Shen Long didn't even know that there was Our Lady of Jinling before. It seems that Our Lady of Jinling was well hidden and didn't pay much attention to the outside world. But this time she suddenly rushed to the East China Sea. It is estimated that someone told Jinling Holy Mother. Holy Mother Jinling thought for a while and said, let me confess to you directly. I heard some rumors that my sister was killed by you, so I just assumed that Tongshan cult leader Tongshan cult said a lot of things to me, which made me misunderstand. And he also gave me treasures so that I can save my life and fight against you. It is estimated that it will not be long before he leads his people to level the East China Sea. After he finished saying these words, Ye Zhen felt his heart skip a beat. If Shen Long hadn't stopped him, he would have started fighting with the Golden Spirit Mother, and would never listen to the Golden Spirit Mother, let alone the Golden Spirit Mother. You will know that there is someone behind the scenes who is staring at their Dong Hai so eagerly. Now their Dong Hai is even more dangerous. A little Golden Spirit Madonna can make Dong Hai such a mess. If a few more people come, who knows what their Dong Hai will do? What's it like? After hearing this, Shen Long frowned slightly and seemed to be thinking about this matter. He didn't expect that there were so many people who sincerely wanted to target Dong Hai. Do you know the specific time they will come? Mother Jinling shook her head after hearing this. In fact, Master Tongshan wanted to discuss it with him at that time, but at that time he only wanted revenge, so he never listened to Master Tongshan. I don't know the specifics, but what I know is that he is currently preparing characters, and he is probably almost ready. Shen Long took a deep breath after hearing this. There is so much water in the East China Sea. How can he help everyone in the water tribe? Has your aquarium built any protective measures in advance? After Shen Long asked this question, Ye Zhen thought about it seriously. The East China Sea has never experienced such a huge disaster before, so that place has never been used. There is indeed one, but the place is a bit dilapidated, but it can still be used. Dong Hai built a shelter before the first half of the year, which should be able to accommodate all aquatic species. Shen Long nodded after hearing this and told me his thoughts. From now on, he wanted Mother Dragon to take all the water tribes to hide inside for a while. Those people searched for a while but couldn't find them underwater. Naturally, they will be able to leave, and when the time comes for self-study, they will go out to deal with those people. It is estimated that they will not be able to resist for long. Let me stay and fight those people with you. This is underwater. The combined strength of me and you should be able to resist a lot of people. Chapter 499. Shen Long arrived first and then nodded. Now that he stopped them, he didn't know whether they would come down, but he heard that the leader of Tongshan had sent the fire spirit mother to the water. Now that the plan has begun to be implemented, Shen Long notified Dragon Mother of what happened here and asked Dragon Mother to take the people of the Shui tribe to hide as much as possible. After Long Mu learned about it, she also tried her best to cooperate. Finally, Shen Long and Yazan began to investigate the matter. I know that there is a place where death incidents occur frequently recently. I don't know how those fish and shrimps died, but I think their strange deaths are probably related to that incident. After he finished saying this, Shen Long immediately became vigilant. It was most likely related to that incident. So the two of them went to the place where deaths occurred frequently. When they arrived, they found that there were floating objects around them. There were many carcasses of fish, and some had just died. The blood from the past was still flowing in the water, and the surroundings were filled with the smell of blood. Shen Long closed his eyes slightly and felt that something was not right about this place. In all likelihood, the fish's death was not normal, and it was most likely related to the leader of Tongshan. He took a deep breath and slowly took 2 steps forward. At this moment, a small weapon suddenly jumped out of the ground and attacked them. Shen Long hurriedly avoided it. Then the weapon still wanted to attack Shen Long. Shen Long grabbed the weapon. After careful observation, he found that this weapon was mainly responsible for catching, but if the caught fish struggled, the weapon it will destroy the other party. It seems that 9 out of 10 fish around them will die like this. Then the two people looked at each other and understood that all such things must be eliminated, otherwise more fish will die here. Below, Shen Long continued to walk forward, and soon jumped out. A dozen such weapons attacked Shen Long. Yazan also went up to help Shen Long, so the two of them were not just dealing with this weapons. Shen Long found that although these weapons were a little difficult to deal with, they could still be eliminated. They could not withstand the attack of the law. As long as the legal attack reached a certain intensity, these weapons would fall apart directly. So he used a little of his mana to a little attack on these weapons. It didn't take long for these weapons to be destroyed by him and Yazan. I finally packed these things away. Yazan sighed when he saw this, and he was frightened. There were some weapons that the two of them hadn't discovered. So they walked around in a big circle and made sure that there were no other weapons here before they felt relieved. These harmful things have caused terrible harm to our East China Sea. Originally, a lot of fish died in the East China Sea. With these weapons, there have been frequent deaths in the East China Sea recently. After saying this, Yazan stomped on the debris on the ground viciously. Shen Long patted him on the shoulder. Just when Shen Long was about to speak, he suddenly saw a drop of water passing by from the corner of his eye, and a strange thing also jumped out and attacked the water tribe. Shen Long took a closer look and found that what jumped out turned out to be the men of Our Lady of Fire Spirit, and the men of Our Lady of Fire Spirit kept pinching the neck of the water tribe and pushed it away. Take. When seeing this, Shen Long couldn't help but slap Yazan hard. Don't say it's useless, there's a water tribe over there who was captured. Chapter 500. Yazan was shocked when he heard this. He originally wanted to go up and kill the subordinate directly, but was stopped by Shen Long. You see, this subordinate did not directly kill the water tribe, only Baji wanted to take him somewhere. Why don't we follow him in secret to take a closer look at what kind of doctrine these people are fighting for? After Shen Long said this, Yazan also nodded, and the two of them were hiding all the way. The water tribe was struggling all the time, and it wasn't until the subordinate hit him twice impatiently that he calmed down. At this moment she saw Yazan hiding, and when he saw this, he felt particularly happy in his heart, and he was no longer as afraid as before. This hateful subordinate not only kidnapped the people of the water tribe, but also the one who fetched water. If I hadn't been able to go out now, I would have cut him into pieces to avenge the people of my water tribe. Yazan deliberately lowered his voice and continued to follow. After saying this, it didn't take long for them to enter a relatively hidden place. Basically not many people would come here, and it was so dark that it was difficult to see clearly. My subordinate took out a luminous stone very naturally. "Where are you taking me? Let me go quickly." Even the people who followed Shui tribe started to panic again. His subordinates ignored her, and after a short time, they brought him to a huge cage. He threw Shui tribe directly in, and then smoothly he also threw the glowing stone in. At this time, Shen Long and Yazan could see clearly what was inside the cage. There were more than a dozen aquatic animals in the cage, and their environment was particularly poor. Not only was it crowded, but there were also the accumulation of food residue looked particularly disgusting. The men immediately locked the cage and said with a smile, "You stay in there and be honest. If you are not honest, I will be the first one to take it out and offer it to the master." After he said these words, the water tribe in the cage couldn't help but shudder. In the end, his subordinates stopped caring about these water tribe people and continued to walk in. Shen Long and Yazan looked at each other. They did not go to save the people from the water tribe first, but continued to follow in. Soon they saw the subordinate kneeling in front of a woman. It was obvious that the woman should be the Holy Mother of Fire Spirits. "Why did you catch an aquarium today? Your abilities are a bit too poor. How long will this continue? Can I improve my strength?" After he said these words coldly, his hands trembled. "Sorry, Master, I have tried my best to find aquariums for you, but I don't know why. There are a lot less aquariums today. They are basically hiding. I can't find them no matter how hard I look. I will definitely do it tomorrow." Before he could finish his sentence, Our Lady of Fire Spirit became angry and slapped his subordinate on the face. "Don't give me these useless explanations. Tomorrow you must catch 10 water tribes for me. With those 10 water tribes, I estimate that my strength will be improved to the next level." Shen Long frowned slightly after hearing this. Now he finally understood that the woman improved her strength by absorbing the mana of the water tribe people. Chapter 501. After listening to what the Holy Mother of Fire Spirit said, Yazan finally couldn't bear it any longer. He has a hot-tempered character to begin with, and he has gone through so many things today, and he has already suppressed a lot of anger in his heart. He looked at the fire spirit Madonna in front of him, and all that came to his mind were the scenes of the water tribe people dying there. When the fire spirit mother did these things, she did not take the water tribe into consideration at all, which had already touched his bottom line, so he stood up and started to move forward. Shen Long saw his intention and wanted to stop him, but he didn't expect that he would shout directly, causing the fire spirit virgin to turn around. Seeing this, Shen Long also knew that even if he tried to stop him, it would be too late. In this case, it would be better to face the difficulties. "What a witch! You actually want to use this method to improve your own strength. Even if you don't have the strength, you even endanger other people's lives. Today I will do justice for God." After saying this, Yazan rushed out and aimed his weapon at the Holy Mother of Fire Spirits. Shen Long only felt a little headache when he saw this. In fact, she still wanted to stop Yazan. They had their own plans and missions. Our Lady of the Fire Spirit only felt that Yazan was such a stupid guy. He had exposed his whereabouts so quickly. Didn't Our Lady of the Fire Spirit know about it? Although this place is underwater, this place belongs to his territory. Then he chuckled, not afraid at all of the Yazan in front of him, who was just a small dragon. In addition, since the Dragon King was gone in the East China Sea, he naturally didn't have any scruples and could kill the dragon in front of him at any time. The dragon was easily killed. At this moment, he suddenly saw a figure behind him. He hurriedly avoided the attack of the fire spirit Madonna. Then he looked carefully and realized that the person turned out to be Shen Long. When he saw her he couldn't help but widen his eyes slightly. She couldn't believe that Shen Long actually followed her. Seeing this, he couldn't help but become cautious. He could ignore other people, but Shen Long must be cautious. Before she came down, the leader had already informed her to be careful about Shen Long. The leader would not say such things to him for no reason. He naturally had his own purpose for saying such things. Most likely, it was because of Shen Long. His strength was too strong. Thinking of this, his vigilance increased a lot, so he was fully armed. If Shen Long attacked him later, He didn't know whether he could avoid it. This time he was quite unlucky. He met Shen Long as soon as he came up, but if Shen Long appeared after his strength improved, he might not be his opponent. Come alone, bring any helpers. It seems that you know that you can't beat me, so you specially found someone to beat me with you. When he said this, his expression was very relaxed, and he didn't look serious, but only he knew how tense he felt inside now. When Yazan was attacking the fire spirit Madonna, he saw Shen Long. She ran over from here, and the fire spirit mother changed back to her original shape without saying a word. Its prototype was a huge lion, with red fur all over its body, and even its eyes were red. It looked like it made people feel there are some things about people, especially his mouth, which is full of sharp fangs. You asked for this, you can't blame me. Chapter 502. The Holy Mother of Fire Spirit was a little nervous when she said this, but she felt relieved when she saw that Shen Long didn't carry out any real attack on him. He opened his big mouth and rushed at the two people, trying to swallow them into his belly. However, they were quickly dodged by these two people, and the fire spirit Madonna was now determined to eat them both. Although it is indeed difficult to digest it if eaten directly, once he digests it completely, the strength of these two people will be transferred to his strength. By that time, his power will naturally increase to a higher level, and then he will no longer have to fear anyone. Just stand there obediently and wait for me to eat you. After he said these words, it was like Shen Long rushed over. Now swallowing Shen Long is the top priority. He doesn't want to let go of Shen Long's fat piece of meat. Shen Long can obviously escape easily, but he doesn't know why. Now it's as if nails have been driven into his feet, and he doesn't even know how to hide. Yazan next to him knew that Shen Long was much stronger than him, so he never focused on Shen Long. When he turned around, it was already too late. He saw with his own eyes how Shen Long was swallowed by the Holy Mother of Fire Spirits. Seeing this, his eyes were wide open and scarlet. Shen Long came here to help him. Now Shen Long he is largely responsible for the subject's fate. If he had pulled Shen Long just now, it is very likely that Shen Long would not have been swallowed. He kept thinking about this in his mind. He fell into self-blame because of his love, while Our Lady of Fire Spirit was very shocked. He originally thought that he would have to fight hard with Shen Long, but he didn't expect that Shen Long was even good at resisting. It seems that Shen Long's strength is not that great. The leader may have overthought it. Madonna of the Fire Spirit was so proud that Shen Long swallowed these things into her stomach, but Shen Long only felt that he had entered a darker place. This place is very narrow and humid, surrounded by soft things and the unpleasant smell of gastric juices. After entering, I just observed the surrounding environment properly and did not do anything else. It wasn't until the Holy Mother of Fire Spirit started to move again that he felt that this one seemed to be getting more crowded. It made him feel that some men said that there was a piece of meat in front of him, which was always close to his face and almost suffocated him to death. So Shen Long pushed the piece of meat elsewhere, but other than that, he didn't offer any resistance. The Holy Mother of Fire Spirit can also feel Shen Long's movements inside the beat. Originally, he thought that Shen Long would still struggle hard inside, but he did not expect that Shen Long would directly accept his fate so quickly. It is estimated that Shen Long does not have much strength, so he is now ready to die. He raised his chin very proudly, and finally looked at Yazan next to him. Now only Yazan was left. Now Yazan was unwilling to accept this fact. His eyes were scarlet and he finally picked up weapons to attack the Holy Mother of the Fire Spirit. Originally, the Holy Mother of Fire Spirit did not take him into consideration, but she did not expect that his strength was far more powerful than she imagined. After several attacks, he discovered that he seemed to be unable to defeat the Fire Spirit Madonna, so he pushed back a few steps. The people around him saw that he was a little weak, so they hurriedly came over to hold him and attack Yazan together. Chapter 503. Originally, Shen Long felt quite comfortable in the belly of the Holy Mother of Fire Spirit and didn't feel anything, but he slowly felt the heat outside. It seemed that some were out of control and some were injured after being attacked by the Holy Mother of Fire Spirits. When he heard the screams outside, he realized that things were different from what he imagined. Why did that fool Yazan not stay away from here but instead ran over to attack Our Lady of the Fire Spirit? Didn't he see that Our Lady of the Fire Spirit didn't have many assistants? He had no choice but to try to crawl out of the mouth of the Fire Spirit Virgin Mary. The second Fire Spirit Virgin Mother felt that the dragon inside her body was dishonest, so he shook his body and tried to put Shen Long in. But Shen Long was naturally unwilling. Shen Long directly grabbed the throat of Our Lady of Fire Spirit. In the end, Our Lady of Fire Spirit had no choice but to open her mouth. Before Shen Long went out, he tried a trap here. After he went out, the Fire Spirit Mother looked at Shen Long angrily. Next to him, Yazan couldn't help but widen his eyes when he saw Shen Long coming back safe and sound. He really didn't expect that someone could come out alive from the mouth of the Holy Mother of Fire Spirits. It seems that only Shen Long has this ability. It's just good that you're okay. I was really scared to death just now. I can't do this again. After Yazan said this, he patted his chest and breathed a sigh of relief. After hearing this, Shen Long felt a little moved in his heart. The Holy Mother of Fire Spirit is really for her own good, so she works so hard to attack these people. He just wanted to throw away the belly of the Holy Mother of Fire Spirit and find himself after attacking these people. Shen Long didn't expect that Yazan's reaction would be so big. If he knew it earlier, he definitely wouldn't. He would do this kind of thing. He looked at Yazan's embarrassed appearance and felt a little grateful in his heart. He believed that if he really ran into trouble one day, Yazan might help him like he did today. For other people's fire spirits, the Holy Mother felt that her physical strength was strange. It was not difficult for him to guess now that it was most likely because Shen Long had tampered with his body. "What did you, abominable human being, do to my body?" After saying this, he replied, stretched out his hand to scratch his throat, and wanted to take out the contents first. She always felt as if there was something in her mouth that was stabbing his throat. It made him feel uncomfortable all over. Shen Long narrowed his eyes slightly, and as Haoi walked, he felt the tingling feeling in his throat becoming more and more obvious. It made him feel like he was in pain, so he at least begged Shen Long for mercy. "What I did just now was all my fault. Please forgive me, sir." "What did you do to my throat? Can you help me take it out now? I really can't stand the pain anymore." In fact, according to the strength of the Holy Mother of Fire Spirit, he can endure it for a while longer, but he doesn't want to let himself suffer so many grievances. If it can be avoided from the beginning, why should he endure it until the end before begging for mercy? Shen Long heard, then he narrowed his eyes slightly. Before he could speak, Yazan next to him started to feel reluctant. "Now that you know how to beg for mercy, when the Shui tribe people you captured begged for mercy, did you ever think about letting them live?" End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.